Hi, how are you? Welcome to Cast On with me, episode 3. And I have a surprise for you today. I am actually, is it considered? I'm crocheting. So this should be maybe crochet with me. It is a very warm, like 90 degree, 88, something like that degree day here in northern New Jersey, where I live and work and craft. I live just outside of New York City, and you saw a clip of the city skyline from my neighborhood. I went out on a run a couple days ago and filmed that little bit. We've had gorgeous weather, aside from, as long as you're okay with heat. It's been amazing. Just beautiful clear skies, a little humid. It's always humid here in the summertime. So yeah, I am working on a crochet project and I wanted to share that with you. So I did film my process of like sorting through my stash and trying to figure this out, figure out what I'm going to use. So I have made some decisions, but I think it's helpful to kind of see the process. So I'm going to have you watch about 12 minutes of me processing what yarns will work best in this. And then I'll catch you up after you come back from that, after you return from that. See ya. I really want to make the Jethro cardigan by Tanis. I think her last name is pronounced Lavallee. So you have to forgive me if I'm wrong, because I'm using my phone. I'm not near my computer. I thought it would be really fun to make it out of handspun, because this is my candy jar of scrappy bits of handspun. So handspun that I've used in other projects. And it is like, so when I spin, my default is probably somewhere in a heavy fingering to sport weight. If I decide to do a 3-ply like this, I often will end up with a DK. So anyway, I did a little digging around, and I think I'm going to use this one as my main color. The pattern is basically a granny square cardigan that has knitted trim. So crocheted granny square cardigan with knitted trim for the front. What are they called? Button bands, non-button bands. I will not put buttons on this, I don't think. And then the sleeves and the ribbing around the bottom are all knit. Tanis made hers with white, or like a cream neutral color, but oh my goodness, there's like close to 200 projects. I want to say, well, maybe a little less, like maybe 170 or so, but there's a lot of projects to look at. And I started to think about this other sweater that I have queued that has a color that's similar to this as its background color, but it's like a multicolored sweater, or like a scrappy sweater. And these two skeins, which are like, I'm not sure what the yarn is. I know the fibers from Kimdyesyarn. I think it's a silk blend, a wool silk blend. But yeah, I just thought this would make a great main color, because it's pretty neutral. It's like coral with some bits of purple and stuff in it. But I think it'll knit up and be gorgeous as background color. And I have plenty of yardage. So I was just kind of digging through my single skeins of handspun. And I think I'm going to incorporate a lot of these. But I think my primary focus is going to be these bits and pieces of stuff that I have left over. I also have some mini skeins that I hand spun out of some Advent, like an Advent that I got that was multicolored, and I just didn't want to make a multicolored yarn, so I decided to do a single ply, and then I plied that single ply with mohair. I completely stole the idea from Aimee of Fat Squirrel Fibers. She did the same, and in fact she's starting to make something with her minis that she did that with. I didn't do it with all of them, I just did it with a handful. So I think I'm going to incorporate these in the sweater into the granny squares. It looks to me like the granny squares are about, oh, I have this too. I thought this would be fun because I really want some yellow and pink in there. This might be a fingering weight though. But anything that, I was going to say, anything that's fingering weight, I'm going, like this one, I'm going to just hold it double if I want to use that color. But I think generally speaking, like this is a 4-ply, so I know it's worsted weight, but generally speaking, I think I mostly am spinning in the sport weight. And then I'll do a 3-ply when I want to do DK like this. This is a 3-ply. I really like how round the 3-ply yarn is. It's so cool. Really, really nice. So yeah, this will be a fun project. I will be casting on probably like next month, not this month. Depends on when you're watching this though. Right now it's early May, so it'll probably be like a month from now because I have a few other things simmering that I want to get going on. Okay, so I have a very bright sunny afternoon now to take a look at these yarns for Jethro, and these are a bunch of end pieces from different handspun projects that I've completed, and I have more handspun single skeins. I'm going to try not to tap, but I think there's value in maybe shrinking the colors or like grouping things, like saying, oh, you know, these are going to represent orange in the sweater, these 3 right here, right? And out in this one too, that's also could be representational of orange. Here's a couple that will be gold. That's too dark, so that's going to go in there. Here's 2 that are pink. Here's a neon-y yellow, which might be too much, so I'm going to put that aside for now. I have this minty green with pink, which kind of goes with what's happening in the center of this. So when I get to that, is that going to be appropriate for this? But it's kind of its own thing, right? And I have this really beautiful navy rainbow yarn that I actually have this skein and I have another full skein, but I've knit a sweater with it and I need to make the sweater longer. So I might need to do that before I try to incorporate any of this into my Jethro cardigan. I did pull out my color wheel just because these are going to be my main color. These 2 skeins right here, they are slightly different colors, even though they're from the same dye lot. This one's a little paler. Its peach colors, tones are a little paler, but the purple seems to be very similar. But the peach is toned down. So I think what I'm going to do is use the toned down one for the sleeves and use the brighter one for inside the sweater and the neckband. So yeah, this kind of goes with that quite well. So yeah, some of these are also like, so these are orange. These 3 right here are orange and purple, I would say. These being mostly orange and red, these being pink. This is navy. Here's some blue over here, and I have another scrap of blue. These 2 have either Surrey, this is Surrey, and this has mohair in it, and this has some sort of texture stuff going on. Oh, and I have this too, which would be somewhere in here. And I do have these, but I think these are too complicated. So these I think I'm just going to save for something else. And then last I have this. This is a brand new skein that's kind of got the colors going on that I want to use. Yellow, green, pink, slash blue. So I guess what I'm trying to do, if I had to summarize this, I would say I probably need another pink skein, I would say. I'm trying to do yellow, blue, green, pink, orange. with some red and some purple at times. So this is yellow, pink, and green. Yeah, I think that would be accurate. And I do think this should be enough yarn. I'm not positive though. You know what? I will go look for another pink skein just so I have, because this one turns into purple at some point in there, and this one turns into green. So I really don't have very much pink here, and I have a little bit of pink mixed in to this skein, which I wouldn't fully count. So I'm gonna look for a pink skein. I think I have one, and add that to the mix. So then it'll be pink, primarily pink with the blue green, which that's one of my favorite combos. I love pink with blue, like a soft blue. And bits of this brassy orange slash some red, hot pink thrown in there, and then some gold yellow. I'm also gonna look for, although this is a pretty decent amount, this is fingering weight, so I may need to hold this double because the pattern is written for DK. And this is really like a sport. So if I can find a yellow skein or a gold skein, I may put this aside for some other project. All right, I'll be back. Okay, I went digging. I found this, which is so pretty, but I really think it's a little too cool toned of a pink, because it has a lot of blue in it to work very well with the main colors. So I'm gonna put that aside. I found this. So if you sort of just like take a look back, I found this. So I took out that other one, this one. I took out this one, put this in instead. This is a full skein. So that'll be like the blue-green vibe. I also found this, which is multicolored. It leans yellow, so I think it could hang out in my yellow group. And then the oranges stayed the same. And then for the pinks, I found this, which is a single ply left over from a project that I made that I would put together. I would ply, so it would be a 2-ply DK weight. So it's a single ply merino from Bien Aimee, like a one-of-a-kind color I got a while back. And then this would kind of be, for until this turns to green, then this would go jump to that pile. But these pinks, these would be the hot pinks. So that would be it. It would be blue-green, yellowy color, and then this rusty red. So let's look at the color wheel and see how I did. All right, so I would say the main colors are, hold on, I need to put this down so I can touch it. The main yarn are these two colors. So we're kind of spreading across this area here, which then if I want to try and get a color, it should be green, which is really this. That really matches that pretty well. Perfect. I think that's why I got so excited with this. And then everything else is kind of gravy, right? So this actually tells me that this color here does need to really take the lead, and then where these other ones will just be accents that will appear sometimes. And then everything else, like, so if we go with the square or rectangle situation, which will get us a fourth color, you see the rectangle right there? That connects the two main colors, and then it gives me these like limey greens with blue green. All right, so everything else then is complementary. I mean, this group here is pulling in here, and this group here is kind of in here, but although they're mostly here in the center. So that should make for a very pleasing complementary color palette, as you can see. And the yellows are like in this, like in that, especially the one that I have the most yardage of, it's really kind of in this swampy green area. So I'm essentially doing this trio right here with, hope this isn't too confusing for you, with nope, this trio here. So 3 of these, 3 of these. You're back? So it's interesting. I have stepped a little, I've edited, I guess I should say, I've edited a little bit more since I sort of speculated on what might work. I ended up making some swatches. First, I swatched for size, and I just kind of pulled random colors because I usually when I swatch a multicolored thing, I pull the colors that I like the least to do the swatches. So I want to just talk to you for a moment about Tanis's pattern. It's really cool. She gives very extensive instructions. The size ranges, she talks a lot about why she chose the size ranges she did. She said there's much bigger gaps between sizes than what she normally does. And that's due to the nature, the size of granny squares. Like, it's a finite amount of inches or centimeters, whatever you're measuring in. And it's difficult to have like a lot of sizes. So for me, she's got 6 sizes. They range from size 34.5 finished to 78 and 3/4. She recommends somewhere in that like 15 inch, about 15 inches of positive ease. You can put buttons on or not. The way she constructs the sweater, there's for her size, say for the images that I showed, there are 5 rows of granny squares, 5 columns of granny squares in the back, and then her front panel has 2 each, like 2 on this side, 2 on this side. So there's 1 less column in the front, which then would, you put rib trim in, but you're not putting rib trim in that's going to be as wide as a square, even in half, and they do have to overlap. So the front is smaller than the back. So her concept for this design was that it's the kind of sweater that you're just like throwing on and running around, running errands or whatever, in your gorgeous granny square combo with knit combo sweater. So for me, my bust is about 40 inches, so her size 2 is a 42.25, which isn't enough ease. It would always lay open on me. I wouldn't have enough to pull the fronts together. Size 3 is 49 inches, which I could pull together. I'm probably going to have about, I think she figures out, she bases these dimensions on her square being 5 inches, from what I could gather from reading other people's project pages. So there's a 5-inch gap in the front, right? And then you put in your rib trim, which are about 1 inch, so then you got like a 3-inch gap in the front. So at 49 inches, if I'm overlapping, I'm losing 3 inches, so it would really go down to like 45 inches or so. And that doesn't give the amount of ease. And she talks a lot about the crochet fabric being a little bit more like less flexible than knit fabric, so you really don't have that pull that you have with knit, that stretch. So the size after 49 becomes 59.25, and I was just like, wow. All right, so that would be like 19 inches of ease. And it's significantly more squares. So for sizes 1 through 3, you're making 36 squares, and then for size 4, you're making 65. Size 4, you're actually making the most squares because she has you do different size squares depending on the size you're making. So you may do a 3-round square, a 4-round square, a 5-round square, or a 6-round square, just depending on the size that you're making. So I read another person's project page where they had tried to aim in between the 49 and 59 to get like 10 inches of positive ease, like a solid 10 inches of positive ease, maybe 12 inches of positive ease, like to sort of land in that 53 to 54 inch zone. And the way she did it was she just knit with a bigger crochet hook to make the squares bigger. And so she said in her project notes, if she could land at 5.5 inches per square instead of 5 inches, she would have enough to make, she could make the size 3 and it wouldn't come out to be 49 inches. It would come out to be like 53 inches. So that was like I'm not an expert crocheter. I mean, I learned how to crochet when I was 8 years old, a long time ago. And I crocheted until I learned how to knit. So I would crochet things until, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I crocheted things till I was 17. When I was 17, I learned how to knit. And that was it. I was done crocheting. I hardly looked back. But I'm familiar with how to handle the hook and how to hold the yarn. And the stitches I'm rusty on. I had to look those up. I've never made a granny square in my life, ever, before this project, before swatching for this project. So I just figured, let me start out by making a swatch and blocking it. So that's what I did. This is my first swatch. First granny square ever. And it swatched out to be about 5 3/4 inches square. I learned a few things about some of the colors I chose. I do not love the red in this all that much. So I put that red yarn, primarily red. It had hot pink in it too, but I put that primarily red skein away after I knit this. I also, I think I messed up. No, I didn't mess up anything. This is fine. There were some granny squares that I swatched that I messed up. So from this, like once I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get to that like 52 to 54 inch zone with just crocheting DK weight yarn. The whole sweater's DK weight. And I'm using a 3.75 millimeter needle, which is what she calls for in the pattern. So yeah, then I just continued to kind of swatch and put things together. So I did this one and I messed up the center and I didn't realize it till I was completely done. But this is using that Bien Aimee bright pink, that blue green, that sort of slimy yellowy pastel neon-y, multicolor pastel yarn, and then that gold from John Arbon. I realized when I made this that the that like this yarn, this one, which is sort of standing in for like an acid yellow, needs to be, I have to hold 2 strands together. I actually have this attached to a granny square, so that's why it's like this. So I have to hold 2 strands together because it's really a fingering weight yarn. So I realized that after I did this, because you can see like this square is, although this has been blocked, this has not, but even so, it is quite a bit smaller. Yeah, the other thing I realized was that this blue green that I have, it's gorgeous on the hank. Skeined, it's a self-striping. It stripes from blue green to bright green. And I really need this sort of bright green in there, that like kind of spring color of spring leaves right now, that color. I need that for this sweater. And I don't really want to do yarn management for this project at all. So I came to the conclusion after looking at these 2 and then doing one more, which I ripped out, so I don't have it, that color is not what I'm looking for. I didn't rip this one out, but this was getting closer to what I was looking for. This has the blue-green in the middle, and I think what's making the difference for me here is that turquoise, this one. The mini skein that I made using a strand of like some handspun that I plied with Surrey alpaca. Again, thank you, Amy, from Fat Squirrel Fibers, for that brilliant idea of running a strand of handspun with a strand of mohair or Surrey to make an interesting novelty yarn that has a bit of texture, but not quite as textured as what you would get with a 100% Surrey or 100% mohair. Yeah, but then I made this square, and this was an epiphany for me. I freaking love what's going on in this square. What I have here is the gold from John Arbon, the sort of acid yellow is next, the turquoise Surrey, the Bien Aimee pink, and I did ply it. I did, I have it right here. I did just put it on my spinning wheel and ply it, so I ended up with a 2-ply DK weight instead of a single strand. And the outside is like this rusty color that I just had scraps of, and I actually think this yarn is about to turn to, this was what it was. It was some yarn that I used in a sweater. I don't even remember which sweater, but I used up most of it. Just had this little dab left. And it was actually similar to my main color. I showed it when I was filming before. I put it over with the main colors because it's doing a lot of, it's got the color combo that those do, like this sort of like blue leaning lavender purple color with rusty orange color. So I used up pretty much the rest of it, but this was like an aha moment, where I was really like, oh, I love this. And I think why I love it is the blue and this hot pink together. I just think, and then this like acid green yellow color just like takes the cake. All right, so I need 36 squares. Well, let's see how we go. I am gonna keep this in the mix. Like, I think these two can hang together, and but these two are just gonna be, I'm not putting these in. These two will just be swatches that'll hang out. So I did make another, I've just been sort of doing different combos, different arrangements of these colors, and I used up a little bit more of that rust, but it's really turned to purple in this one, which I'm going to use it anyway. And then this is the swampy, the neon-y swampy color, holding 2 strands together. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. I think it's really great. I wish I had enough done so I could see how the main color looks with these. I'm just like, fingers crossed. I like the way that looks. I guess if I don't, because I'm gonna have a nice selection of, you know, these colors, if I don't like that main color that I chose with this, I'm gonna switch the main color, because by the time I get around to getting, you know, putting them together and seeing how I like them, I'm gonna have most of these granny squares done. So I think my plan then is to use this, see if I can get them all here, the Bien Aimee pink, whatever's left of the gold. I am holding 2 strands together. I'm just pulling from the outside and the inside. I do have a dab of something that's very similar. That's a DK weight. And I'm gonna be using this as the rust. So hang on, let me turn it around so you see all the colors. So those are my colors for now. I'm gonna see how many squares I can make with these yarns. And, you know, at some point I'm going to start running out of one or whatever, or more of them, and I'm going to just need to start working in other colors. I do still have this pink to green, and I don't think I'm going to use the green at all. I think I will probably use some of that pink. And I also have a darker mini skein of same idea, where it's a strand of handspun with a strand of mohair. I think in this case it's mohair. And I think it's the mohair that's sort of going, if you can see the very variegated, like dark, light, that's the mohair happening there. I'm pretty sure the wool was a single color. Yeah, and then, I mean, it should be enough. I should have plenty of this. This should be able to get into every square. I think I'll have plenty of this too to get into every square. And between these two, I should have enough. It's the gold and rust that I may run out of. And I do have some rust-like colors. They're not quite this orange. They're a little redder. I have a couple other mini skeins. So I may be able to, you know, work those in to no harm. It should look, you know, pretty cohesive, especially if it's just here or there. And I might throw in, because I do have the one square that has green in it, I might throw in that green from time to time, if it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not that far from that more limey green, so that I maybe, I don't know, I'll think about it. To see how, to wait till till I burn through, you know, making the squares in different, you know, color arrangements for this yarn, and just see what I end up with and take it from there. So yeah, that is what I'm working on, and I thought I might I have a bit of a square. I'm using up the last bit of that gold to purple, or like rust to purple, and I thought I might just crochet a bit with you and just chat and tell you whatever, some things that I've been up with. I have to say, like, I'm pretty focused on the fact that my son and daughter-in-law and granddaughter are coming for a visit next week, in just a few days. So I'm like very, very like in prep mode, very much in prep mode. It's like late afternoon right now here on Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, which is a bank holiday weekend for us here in the US. And so I'm like, I have time to do a little episode, because I needed to do this now, because I really want to just keep crocheting more squares and just seeing how it all goes, like how it all ends up working together. So I was like, oh, I have to do the filming. And so I just realized, like, I just ran around like crazy today. I did a ton of stuff. I was super busy, and I have about an hour or so before I need to start making dinner, so it worked out perfectly. I mean, normally I would have traveled on Memorial Day weekend and gotten out of town. That's a lot of, I mean, in my neighborhood there's a ton of people around. I was out earlier, I went to pick up some groceries, and there's just a ton of people around. Our town pool opened, and I saw kids walking around with the beach towels. I just love it. I love that sense of community and neighborhood that we have here. It's really, really nice. I really enjoy it. And yeah, so normally I would have gone away, but my cat sitter, the woman whose daughter watches my cat, they went away, which is fine. So it was kind of a good excuse to stay home and, you know, just work on getting the house cleaned and like making sure everything's clean and tidy, and that my son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter can all be comfortable when they come. visit. They're going to be here for just one night at first, and then they have an event they're going to in Maine. So they'll be staying a couple nights in Maine, and they'll be back here for a couple nights at the afterwards. So yeah, so it's exciting. Very, very exciting to have them visit. So I'll see what footage I can take that might be shareable with you, so you can see whatever little things we get up to. That I'm doing right now is very, very green, and it's transitioning over to like a yellowy pink, I guess. I'll show you in a sec. I'm almost done. I mean, I like crochet for some things. Like it's easy to put down and pick back up again. There's no concern about, you know, being necessarily, especially granny squares, like these crochet up so easily, and you're just doing the same stitch over and over. You're doing a double crochet, at least on this one. Oh, and Tanis gave all of the instructions on how to make the granny square, and she also has videos. I'm pretty sure I didn't use her videos, but if you're, you know, nervous or you need more instruction besides what she's written in the pattern, she does have video content that will help. I should say I haven't needed the videos yet. I'm so excited about this pattern because it's just a perfect combination of crochet and knit. Alright, I did the third round. So first round was that rusty color, and then the second round was the gold, and then third round was that neon color. I'll cut that. Pick up another color. I've been spinning a little bit again. After I did this, I had fiber that was sitting there longing for me to spin it. So I was like, I'll make a bobbin. So I made one bobbin. I'm making a 3-ply, and I'm gonna I'll probably finish it this weekend or this week, so I should have that to share in my next Knitters Live series. I've been crocheting my ends in as I go, so then I can just, aside from the last one, so I won't have a bunch of ends to weave in. So I do it this way, where I just catch them as I'm going, as I'm crocheting, and I will pull those tight, and then I just cut them afterwards. My next color is the turquoise. I love this color so much. It's so pretty. I realized too, like, I had caked this purple, and I think this is just adding another, like, too many colors. So I decided not to do, I just caked it because it was in with my other mohair handspuns. And then I was like, this is too many things. Too many things. But I'm really glad I messed around with the yarns that I had, so to help me see which combination I really, really liked. Sorry, I'm working on this lower than you can see. I don't mean for that to happen. Doesn't crochet just feel like such a easy summer project, like or like thing, like way to use your stash, like to just crochet? I don't know why I associate crochet with summertime. It's probably my California 1970s upbringing where you know, the 70s there was a real resurgence of handcrafts happening, especially in California where I lived, where I was growing up, and my parents were really into it. My mom remarried and married a craftsperson. He made crafts for a living. He was a leathersmith, and he was a hippie, I suppose. Had big bushy hair and a full beard in a time when that was an anomaly. And yeah, it was a super interesting childhood. Surrounded by lots of artists and musicians and really interesting culture, immersed in a culture with my parents, and yeah, I learned a lot. I learned that I didn't like being poor and you know, all of that. We wouldn't get our Christmas tree until a couple days before Christmas because my dad, my stepfather, would barter for it, and he knew if he waited until like December 23rd or 24th, the tree would be practically free. So just little things like that, which are cool, you know, like as an adult I'm like, wow, that's pretty awesome that he did that. But as a child, you just want the tree like everyone else has. Like all your friends already have the tree. So it was pretty interesting. And he, you know, my sisters and I laugh at memories of going to movies with him, and he would always bring a big, huge, like thick, you know, deli sandwich, and he'd shove it into his coat pocket and sneak it in. I mean, back in the days when you weren't allowed or you shouldn't bring, I think now they're a little more lax, but those days, like, they were pretty vigilant about people not bringing in food from elsewhere. And he loved like hot peppers and onions on his sandwiches. You could just imagine the smell. And like me and my sisters, like middle schoolers and into high school and stuff, just like scrunching down in our seats trying to, you know, when he would make noise and it would smell like the crackling. And it's, you know, it's just really, really funny to think about now. And I mean, I really miss him. He passed away about 10 years ago, and just all those, you know, those little ways of saving money. Like, of course you're not going to buy a sandwich at the movie theater because it would be, you know, in those days, like 3 times what you'd pay if you just purchased it, and like not as good as if you just purchased it at a deli, a local deli instead, or made it at home. So yeah, pretty interesting. I had a very interesting childhood. It wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it was certainly unique. Definitely unique. again, like, you know, nowadays, I completely understand. I mean, I didn't go that far when my kids were young of bringing in a whole entire, like, meal. But we certainly went to the local, you know, Five and Dime to pick up candy before we went into the theater, because, and we'd bring in, like, water bottles, like reusable water bottles, instead of buying water. The only thing we ever bought there was popcorn. But, you know, dear old Dad had a solution for that too. He found a theater that did refills, free refills on your popcorn bag, and he just saved the bag. And we bring the same bag, and then the bag slowly would be deteriorating and it would be getting more and more crumpled, but he didn't care. He would just, like, hand it to the clerk and be like, could I get my free refill? Even though he hadn't purchased one that day. Oh my God, it's so funny. So funny. Smart, you know, but very funny. A little cringy at times. And perhaps not sanitary. Yikes. Anyway. What are you working on? Are you also making the Jethro? Or maybe you've already finished it. This pattern's been out, I think, since April or so. And she did she made a pullover version as well first. And this is the cardigan version. I can't remember what the pullover version is called. But yeah, so far so good. I'm so glad I figured out how to make it with 36 squares instead of 60. What was it? 65. So many squares. Oh, this is gonna be so pretty. It's so fun. I also am, like, thinking ahead to a couple other sweaters that I'm gonna be making, and it's so funny to me that I almost always knit with fingering weight. Everything's fingering weight because I prefer to wear fingering weight. I don't really like wearing thick sweaters. It's not that I don't like it. It's just not cold enough here. I would wear a thick sweater if I lived in a colder climate. But it's just not cold enough here. So fingering weight is perfect. And I can even wear like superwash fingering weight or knit or linen or cotton fingering weight in the summertime here. Because we use AC here. I know it's not a thing that countries outside the US use much, but in the US, I'm sitting in AC right now, actually. There's my turquoise. The last one is the hot pink. So fun. So fingering weight I can wear even in the summer months in the indoors, especially at my office. My office is kept very cold, which seems to be something that many offices do. Keeps the AC on pretty strong, so it's nice. I keep a shawl in my office all the time, and I also have a Polar Tech vest in my office for when it's appropriate. I go for the knitwear first, though. The Polar Tech vest had been a gift from someone. But yeah, I can do DK. DK's pushing it for me. They tend to be like my thicker, warmer sweaters. And worsted, yeah, same, like my thicker, warmer sweaters. I know there's not a big difference between worsted and DK. But what's funny to me is, like, here we are going into summer, and I cast on Sunshine on my shoulders, DK weight. Cast on the Traveler, DK weight. I'm casting on Jethro, DK weight. Queued up, I have the gym sweater by Irene Lin, DK weight. And there's another one that I'm not remembering. That's also DK weight. And I'm like, what is happening here? Anyway, I teased a bit about my Rhinebeck sweater, what I think will be my Rhinebeck sweater. I mean, I don't know. I'm prone to shiny object syndrome, so shiny new object syndrome, so I may change my mind, which is why I don't really want to talk about it right now. But I do have an idea for what it's going to be. I'm trying to not jump on, not that there's anything wrong with it, but I am trying to, you know, explore other options aside from the easy and swayable option of making, you know, very popular designs for Rhinebeck. So I'm trying to, I mean, who knows though, if Andrea Mowry makes a Rhinebeck sweater that I fall in love with, then I'll be making that. I don't know that it'll be the sweater I wear to Rhinebeck. I mean, it is really fun to dress in a sweater that you know many other knitters will be making, and it's very fun to see the different color variations and modifications that folks do. It's just so fun. But I'm trying to keep an open mind instead of going, I'm just waiting for her sweater, because she's had a couple that I haven't really liked all that much. Like, I've knit them and then wore it to Rhinebeck and then never wore it again, which tells me like it probably wasn't a good addition to my wardrobe. So I'm trying to keep more focused on things that I'm excited about because they're going to be good for me. Like, they're colors that I'm going to wear, and it's a design you know, that I like on my body, a shape that I like on my body, and all of that stuff, all of those things that we don't really, I don't anyway, I shouldn't say I don't spend enough time thinking about when I pick what pattern I'm going to make. Like, I need to like take a beat and chill. let that design or that future cast on kind of sit and simmer in the background, and, you know, take it from there. Yeah, that's what I've been thinking about. Nearly done with this square. Oops. I forget that the chain one often, where you chain one in between your sets of 3 double crochet on a granny square. Oh my gosh, this blue and pink together, just like, I'm so in love with this combo. So in love. I mean, I know this about myself. I know I love this combo, and you know, the colors can be slightly different than the way that these colors are right here. I love it. I mean, I have blouses that are, you know, that I wear in the summertime that are these colors, that are like this corally pink with turquoise. But there we go. All right. Summarize what I have so far. And wait. Hang on. This. Can I have one more? Oh, I guess that's all I have. All right, there we go. This is how it's shaking. On this one, that bright pink, I'm having stand-in for this pink. And then the only difference is this. And then I have a tiny dab of this other color, this other like coral color. Oh, here it is. it started to turn pink, so I was like, I don't know how much longer I can use this, but this is in here standing in for the rusty color. I had used this in a project, like, so all of these, even this, I had used in projects, all of these, except the mohair suri blended skeins. This one I knit earlier, towards the end of last year. This was for the Busan sweater where you hold a strand of mohair. I held a strand of mohair with that, and this is what's left over. So I'm very excited. I love that sweater. That's a heavy sweater. Like, so putting mohair with something is also something that's a little, makes the sweaters a little bit warm. But, you know, there are occasionally very cold days, so it's good. But yeah, I'm excited for this. It's gonna be so pretty. I really hope this lasts me, the whole sweater. Or all the squares. I'm gonna let you go, and because it's time for me to go cook dinner. And thank you so much for hanging out with me a bit and checking out this latest cast on project that I am working on. This is like, so good. So good. Let's see how I do. Let's see if I make it when I do my next Knitter's Life for you. Anyway, hope you have a great rest of weekend and take care.